Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The National Security Minister speaks out about the decriminalization of marijuana.
A former cabinet minister defends the use of medical marijuana.
All right, I'm Todd.
And I'm Chester.
And this is Fit Friday.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, one day after 4 parliamentarians voiced their support for the decriminalization of marijuana for medicinal purposes, National Security Minister Marvin Dames says the Bahamas will review the CARICOM report in preparation for a national conversation. Our Jillian Gray has the details.
With CARICOM placing a renewed focus on the decriminalization of marijuana, the conversation here in the Bahamas has been buzzing, and it's a conversation the National Security Minister Marvin Dames said the government is willing to have.
This is the way the world is moving, and we're not a country unto ourselves. We're very much a part of the conversation, and as a government, we will most certainly be faced with having to address it in one way or the other.
Parliamentarians Glenys Hannah Martin, Ricky Mackey, Frederick McAlpine, and Chester Cooper have all said they support legalizing marijuana for medicinal purposes. However, Immigration Minister Brent Simonet shied away from giving a position.
One of the great things about a cabinet minister is you don't have a personal view.
Yesterday, while advocating for the decriminalization of marijuana, Bahamas Cannabis Research Institute Chairman Terry Miller called for the release of people who are in prison for small amounts of marijuana. We asked the National Security Minister to respond to that call.
We have to look at our context, and as we continue these conversations, to see how we fit into all of this. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's not something that you can overnight say, okay, let's go and decriminalize.
You know, there's been a movement in Canada with regard and some of the states in the United States. So there's a whole question of how we deal with this issue. Certainly, coming back on your first question, it always bothers me if you get someone on a cruise ship that has one joint that you then charge or prosecute them and ruin their holiday. So I think there has to be some movement because we've come 50-odd years later on.
Today, CARICOM presented a report suggesting that marijuana should be decriminalized. Dames said Cabinet will review and discuss what is in that report.
I mean, the Prime Minister and his delegations have been in Jamaica, so we're part of it. And so it's not that CARICOM is discussing this in isolation of the Bahamas. We're very much a part of it. And so at the end of the day, we will sit and review whatever would have been discussed and determine the way forward.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Meanwhile, medical marijuana is getting the support of former Free National Movement Member of Parliament Fenton Nemore, who revealed it saved his life and the treatment was a key component in his fight against stage 4 colon cancer. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
Nemore says marijuana was a critical part of his treatment and even said it helped to save his life.
I was put on it when the doctors gave up, and I couldn't eat, and that's what saved me. And now I'm a fellow totally against drugs. I'm an old athlete. I am against it, but you know.
Nemore, who was a guest on the Guardian talk radio show The Revolution with Juan McCartney, revealed his use of medical marijuana is a part of the reason he is still living more than 4 years after he was diagnosed with colon cancer. The former Minister of State for the Environment says he did his treatment in the United States and has a legal prescription.
I was at the point when, in my 3rd remission, no drug was working. The first thing that cancer patients suffer from, which family members don't understand, is you get nausea, you don't have an appetite, you don't eat. Well, those are the things you need to do to stay healthy. And so those are the aspects that medical marijuana help best. Many people don't understand that by getting medical marijuana, they think you're smoking a joint. Medical marijuana is you get it by a pill. There's a pill that they provide to you. It actually looks like chocolate. And it's taking a medication given to you by a doctor that could be where the THC, which makes you high, is removed.
Now that he is recovering, using medical marijuana is not a necessity. The former F&M cabinet minister's comments come amid widespread debate on the decriminalization of marijuana throughout the Caribbean. On Thursday, Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands insisted there was no major market for medical marijuana in the Bahamas. However, he did note that studies have shown that it has been effective in reducing some of the symptoms associated with chemotherapy. Nemore says the only form of marijuana he supports is medical marijuana.
I have to make it very clear that I support medical marijuana only, not recreational.
Gotcha.
I'm against that.
Nemore, who has remained vocal despite his exit from frontline politics, says he will not let his illness stop him from speaking out. He's currently seeking to raise awareness about the prevalence of males with cancer and is calling on the government to stop turning a blind eye to the illness that has impacted the lives of thousands of Bahamians. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, a day after Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands expressed doubt over a medical marijuana market here in the country, the CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation says there may be more potential than we realize. Jared Higgs tells us more.
The organization he leads doesn't have a formal position on marijuana legalization. However, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation CEO Edison Sumner says there may be potential for a medical marijuana market, considering the plethora of tourists who visit our shores and the original reason they came here.
As a matter of history, when we look at the history of the country and we look at our tourism product, few people might know that our tourism product actually was originated out of medical tourism. It was started as from people who were going through treatments and had to come through convalescence after operations, etc., were told to go on vacation as part of their recovery. And so part of our early tourism promotions was around medical tourism.
Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands, in an interview with Our News, downplayed the potential for a medical marijuana market in the country, arguing that there weren't many diseases that the drug can treat. Sumner wouldn't commit to acknowledging that there is a bona fide medical marijuana market. However, he says if the country were to promote medical tourism, it may stand to reason that medical marijuana fits with the package.
If we're going to be considering marijuana for medicinal use and promoting it as a part of the medical tourism side, then that is a market that we'd have to look at, right? I don't know how large the local market would be for that, but I believe that if it is something that's going to be promoted in the country, then it may find more appeal to international persons who may wish to come into the country to access that level of medical care and to access that particular drug as part of their recovery or healing process.
A recent public domain poll revealed that 71% of respondents surveyed believe that medical marijuana should be legalized. Former Cabinet Minister Fenton Nemore also revealed that his battle with stage 4 colon cancer was greatly aided by medical marijuana. The chamber chief insisted, though, that the jury is still out on the demand from Bahamians.
I don't know what the level of appetite is for that locally, and I don't know if it's going to be so widespread that it becomes an economic boost for the country amongst the domestic users.
CARICOM has recommended that member states end marijuana's prohibition. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
In other news, there are now 7 confirmed cases of conch poisoning. This comes 2 days after Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands confirmed 4 cases stemming from conch sold at the Potters Key dock. Sands has warned all conch vendors to wash raw conch in fresh water, as the bacteria responsible for the illness thrives in salt water. Symptoms of conch poisoning include watery diarrhea and abdominal cramping. Our News spoke to several vendors yesterday who revealed they were under the impression that it was acceptable to rinse conch in salt water. It's a practice that health officials addressed in the late 1990s when cases of conch poisoning numbered in the thousands. Sands has stressed that conch meat itself is not contaminated, merely the surface of the meat, which can be washed off with fresh water. And the myth of the chick charney on Andros is still alive and kicking. Tonight, our Kyle Joaquin tackles the chick charney challenge in this edition of Fit Friday.
It's perhaps one of the toughest obstacle courses in the country.
It's about 3 or so miles of about 15 to 20 obstacles. And it's grueling, but it's fun.
With the Chick Charney Challenge, your body is put to the ultimate test, but you've got to use your mind as well. So before the race on July 15th, I went through a brief training session at Evolve in Palmdale.
Today we're just going to show you a sample, give you some techniques of rope climbing, bucket carrying, sandbag carrying, and so you have to crawl. You definitely have to crawl, some mud, some dirt. So we'll show you some crawling techniques and how to do that.
First up, the rope climb.
In order to beat the rope climb, you want to get as high as you can on the first go, right? That way you'll make it as far as you can. So you want to jump up. Whoa. And you want to step in the rope.
Wait, they got this.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Step in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't go too well.
Everyone's favorite thing to overlook or kind of treat as if it's easy. Sandbag carry. This is about 20 pounds, give or take. But after 3 minutes, it feels like 100. So,
there you go.
take that.
Like this?
Yeah.
It's like
just light for now.
It's lightweight.
Walk it up and walk it back.
Just walk.
Light work.
Lightweight.
And after struggling on the rope climb, I got a chance to redeem myself with the last obstacle, the inverted monkey bars.
Back up.
Oh boy.
Right?
Yeah. Easy.
And then coming back down.
And then it was my go. All my training led to this.
I did it! Chocolate them.
So my prep for the challenge next Sunday at Clifton Heritage Park at 7 a.m. is done. Here's how you can sign up.
So you can come right here to Evolve Functional Fitness in Palmdale and sign up, or you can go to our website, chickcharneychurin.com.
With another edition of Fit Friday for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Still to come on Our News, officers get an in-depth course in marine conservation. Plus, a new study examines the root causes of violence. That's coming up when Our News returns.